This is Tomorrow's Lens, a podcast where we talk about countries through the eyes of Educate Tomorrow's members. Welcome to this episode. I'm Leah, your host.
I'm Jonah, your co-host.
And we're here today with
Julian. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Okay, so can you tell us about your hometown in Puerto Rico? What was it like growing up there?
Yes. So I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I was raised with my siblings, so it's a lot of island life, a lot of beach time, a lot of playing outside. It's a lot of outdoors activities. I was born there and raised until I was 13, and that's when I moved here. So I only got to see like the young age of Puerto Rico. Now I'm seeing it as an adult, and it's different. But Puerto Rico is very a family country, a family island. We like to have fun. Outdoors is our playground. Anything outdoors, especially with water, is our island life. That's our motto. Very good food, a lot of rich food. I don't know what else.
That's great. Do you have any family there that you visit?
I do. I actually visit very often. All my family members are over there. Only my immediate family lives in the States with me. So it would be like my grandma and then both of my families from both my dad and my mom's side.
Wow, okay, that's great.
What brought you here, and how was your experience so far?
So I moved to the States in Miami here when I was 13. I came after graduating from 8th grade. We as a family and my parents and I decided that it would be a best option for me to do education here. So I did high school here and then I did college here. We figured that educational wise, I wasn't being challenged enough academically in Puerto Rico. I did go to really good schools. We went to private education, but it wasn't just enough, and my parents wanted to provide the same opportunities they gave my siblings as they did me, so I moved here to do high school.
Yeah.
What do you miss the most about Puerto Rico?
My family, a lot. I do miss my family a lot. It means a lot to me when I get there to visit them, as well as my best friend. My life best friend lives in Puerto Rico. And I miss her, so that's mostly what I miss from them. And also like the culture that Puerto Rico provides. In Puerto Rico, everybody's very familiar, very homely, so it's like a big family, and you know everybody in Puerto Rico. It's a very small island.
Yeah.
So even if they don't know you directly, someone will know you indirectly, and it will make you feel right at home, even though you've just met them 5 minutes like now. That's a very rich culture in Puerto Rico.
I guess you're already telling us about them, but were there any other cultural differences that stood out to you once you got here?
Yes, it was a very big adjustment coming when I was only 13. From a little island, from classes are very small, friend groups are very small, to a really big city where the language is not Miami. You have a language where Miami you speak Spanish, but my first language is Spanish. Everybody in Puerto Rico speaks Spanish. To learn English is a privilege. So coming here and adjusting to a culture where it's not just Puerto Rican culture, it's everybody's culture.
Yeah.
Miami's a very diverse city. So it was a very big adjustment, but it was a very good new world that I got to meet when I met in high school. A lot of my high school friends were from other countries. I was the only person that was from Puerto Rico. So I got to meet new people and got to learn about new different cultures, not just Caribbean culture, but South America, Central America, and also European culture within my high school.
Yeah, that's why we like Miami. It's always very good to meet new people.
Can you share a favorite place in Puerto Rico?
I can. So of course, island, all around water. There's always beach. But one of my favorite parts of Puerto Rico is El Yunque. That is the national tropical rainforest. It is the only one in the U.S. that the U.S. has, as Puerto Rico being a commonwealth for the U.S. So it has rich environment, a lot of animals, very beautiful fauna. And my favorite part to do in El Yunque is when we go to the river. You go on a hike and you get to river, and then you have a little pond, but in that pond is full of rainfall, a waterfall, and you get to swing in a vine, in a rope, and people go there and you spend the day. You take your little bag, you take your snacks, you go with your friends, you take music, and everybody's just there, just having a good time, being in the water, being with nature, and honestly, enjoying each other's company, and you get to meet new people. At least that's one of my favorite activities to go when I go there.
Wow, yeah. What's something unique about Puerto Rico that you think more people should know?
Something that very caught my eye when I moved here, a lot of people confuse Puerto Rico with Cuba because we're both islands in the Caribbean. Cuba was very popular in the 1960s. It was part of the US as well. And then it happened, the change in Cuba happened. So people confuse that what's happening in Cuba happens in Puerto Rico, which is not. We have a lot of the resources. We have malls, we have banks, we have access to electricity and internet. We have everything that the US has, we have it as well. Not at the same scale, because of course, small island, and everything has to be imported to the island, but we do have all those resources. And that's a misconception that a lot of people have about the island, about Puerto Rico. And it's unique because we have a lot of factors that US influences Puerto Rico, but we always maintain true to our roots, and we are a race where we're mixed from Africans that were slaves, Indians from the island, and Spanish, which were the colonizers. And all those three, they make who we are now. And people tend to forget that we have our own culture as well. And it is influenced by the US and the American culture, but we follow a lot of our culture with music, food, religion, always play a big part in Puerto Rican culture.
Yeah. About the people mixing up with Cuba, especially since they have such like similar flags, I get how you can.
Yes, people tend to like confuse them both. We have a lot of similarities. I'm half Cuban, so I get those similarities in them. My mom's side is Cuban, so I was raised both Cuban and Puerto Rican. My dad's side is Puerto Rican, so I got to get a combination of both cultures. And now living in Miami, I get to represent my Puerto Rican culture, but I also get to appreciate my Cuban culture, being with more Cubans around me. And it's just a combination of both, and it's a great combination.
Yeah. You were telling us about the food, how it's so, you were saying like it was hearty earlier. Could you tell us more about that? How would you describe like Puerto Rican cuisine?
Ooh.
Like what was your favorite dish?
So Puerto Rican cuisine, we have a lot of traditional plates. It is a lot of fried food, that is our culture in cuisine, but our typical like traditional plate would be mofongo. It's a plantain, and it's the way that we mash it, because every island in the Caribbean has a different way of making it. They use a plantain, but they make it differently, and they use different techniques to make it. Dominican Republic would have fufu, and then we would have mofongo. Mofongo is like a mashed plantain, and you have fried chicharrones inside, and you can either have it with either steak, chicken, shrimp, and the way that we serve it, it comes in like in a wooden bowl, and it is stuffed inside with the protein inside. And that is a traditional Puerto Rican dish, mofongo. I tend to eat it with chicken, and it depends on what sauce you also want to add to it. That's like the main typical dish that everybody like tends to go for. But if you go to local place, like little kiosks that you have along the coast of the line of the beach, they serve a lot of traditional like snacks. So it would be like alcapurrias, which is another way of using the plantain, but you stuff it and you fry it with meat inside. And then you have like either frituras, which is like fritters, but you have them with different proteins. You have them chicken, shrimp, or even just cheese. And something that I really, really like are empanadillas. So people tend to confuse them. In Puerto Rico, we call them empanadillas. And the main one that a lot of people tend to go for are pizza empanadillas. So it's a pizza, it's empanadilla, and it's stuffed with cheese sauce. And it's literally like you're tasting a pizza, but in empanadilla and turn over.
Wow. Jonah?
What is a must-visit place in Puerto Rico that you'd recommend?
Apart from El Yunque, I would also recommend any of the beaches. We have a lot of hidden beaches. Cabo Rojo has hidden beaches. Crash Boat is another beach that a lot of locals like to go. My favorite beach is where I used to live, Isla Verde.
Oh.
That is more tourist, like the touristy area, metropolitan area. But for me, like Isla Verde is a natural man-made beach, and it has access to, of course, hotels for the tourists as well as for locals as us. And it's just a more homely vibe of a beach. It's not just like only young people or only adults. It's a mixture of everybody, and everybody just joins with everybody. Like you see adults playing with little kids and little kids playing with teenagers, and that vibe that you see in Isla Verde, you see it all across the island. Everybody just wants to make you feel welcome, and like they want you to like enjoy the culture that Puerto Rico gets to offer. So the beaches is always a must-have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely sounds like such a great experience. I think okay, we have so many more questions to ask you because it just seems like I don't know, like extraordinary to be able to.
It's a small island but with rich with culture.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
I do say we should probably wrap it up on time though, but thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was great. I hope everybody gets to learn more about Puerto Rico and they get to come visit the island.
Yes.
We always appreciate more tourists to come to the island. The more people come, the more people are aware of the country and the island. We're a very small island, but we're always very welcoming. I look forward to like hearing more stories and people that go over.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to Tomorrow's Lens. Don't forget to come back next episode and listen.
Alright. Until next
Until
time.
next time, learn about more countries and cities.
Alrighty. Thank you so much.
Thank you.